Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful session of Grammar Live with me, Alexander. I want to believe your week has been fruitful and that gradually, as we come into the end of another week, your expectations, your plans have or are in the process of materializing. Just as I always ask you to do, I'd like to encourage you to share the links with your friends. Tell them Grammar Live is on. They should join and keep your questions, your comments, and your contributions coming in. So, in the next few minutes, I will wait as you share the links with your friends, inviting them in, telling them Grammar Live is on, that they should keep in sending in their questions and their contributions in any way and in any form. I want to hear from you. I want to hear how beneficial, how effective and fruitful this particular program has been to you. That is one way of us knowing the impact that we are making in your lives and in the lives of people close to you. So just keep your questions, keep your comments, keep your contributions coming in. So in the next 2 minutes, whilst I wait for you to share the links with your friends, I'll briefly do a recap of what we talked about last week. So as a way of recap, last week we talked about the past perfect. We talked about the past perfect, where we say that the past perfect is used to describe an action finished before another action in the past. The past perfect is used to describe an action finished before another action in the past. So when we talk of something that we did before we do another thing, and all these things happening in the past, we use the past perfect to talk about them. Again, we use the past perfect to describe an action happening before a specific time in the past. An action happening before a specific time in the past. In describing such an action, we use the past perfect tense to talk about them. We use the past perfect tense to talk about that. From there, we say that in describing actions started in the past and continued up to a given time in the past, we describe such actions with the past perfect tense. We describe such actions with the past perfect tense. And last but not the least, we say in describing cause and effect, in combination with the past simple, we use the past perfect tense. So if you want to talk about something which has an implication or a result, which is in turn the cause and the effect, in talking about such a thing, we use the past perfect tense to talk about it. And finally, we say to emphasize the result of an activity in the past. To emphasize the result of an activity in the past, we use the past perfect tense to do that. To emphasize the result of an activity in the past, we use the past perfect tense to do that. And then in conclusion, we say we look at the formation of the past perfect tense. Look at the formation of the past perfect tense. When we say that the past perfect tense in English is composed of two parts. The past perfect tense in English is composed of two parts. The first one is the past tense form of the verb to have. The past tense form of the verb to have. And then the second part is the past participle of the main verb. The past participle of the main verb. So we have had plus the past participle of the main verb. Had plus the past participle of the main verb. So we say in forming the positive, we have subject plus had plus the past participle of the main verb. For negative, we have subject plus had not plus the past participle of the main verb. And then finally, for question forms, so we had plus subject plus the past participle of the main verb. So that was what we talked about last week. Now, in this week series, we want to look at the past perfect continuous. The past perfect continuous tense. That is what we want to look at this week. So before we proceed, kindly share the links with your friends. If your questions, your comments, your contributions, and the like and the heart button is very, very important. All right. So the past perfect continuous tense. What is it? When do we use it? How do we use it? And how do we form it? That is what we want to look at. The first thing we want to understand and identify is that the past perfect tense is used to describe a past action already started and continued up to another action or time in the past. So if we're talking about the past perfect continuous, we use it to describe a past action already started and continued up to another action or a time in the past. So if I start something in the past and I continue that thing to a particular point in time in the past before starting another action or continuing another action, in describing such an action, I use the past perfect tense to talk about it. For example, the boys had been playing soccer for about an hour when it started to rain. The boys had been playing soccer for about an hour when it started to rain. So the boys started playing the soccer from in the past, from a time in the past, and to a certain point in time in the past, another action started. So in describing this series of events, we use the past perfect continuous tense to talk about it. So the boys had been playing soccer for about an hour when it started to rain. Describing a past action already started and continued up to another action or time in the past. We use the past perfect continuous tense. Again, to express the duration before something in the past. To express the duration before something in the past, we use the past perfect continuous tense. We use the past perfect continuous tense. For example, Richard needed a holiday because he had been working hard for 6 months. Richard needed a holiday because he had been working hard for 6 months. So in expressing the duration before something in the past, we use the past perfect continuous tense to express that. So when you look at the example, Richard needed a holiday. Why? Because he had been working, expressing the duration before something in the past. He had been working for 6 months. For 6 months, he has been working. So in expressing that, we use the past perfect continuous tense. Again, to describe the cause of something in the past, we use the past perfect continuous tense. So if something happened and you want to describe the cause of the thing, we use the past perfect continuous tense to do that. We use the past perfect continuous tense to do that, to describe the cause of something in the past. To describe the cause of something in the past. For example, he was tired because he had been jogging. He was tired because he had been jogging. So in this case, you are describing the cause of something in the past. What caused his tiredness? His tiredness was as a result of the jogging. So in describing the cause of something in the past, we use the past perfect continuous tense. The past perfect continuous tense. The past perfect continuous tense. Again, if you want to describe an event which finished before another past event, we use the past perfect continuous tense. In describing an event which finished just before another past event, one event finished, then another past event. In describing that, we use the past perfect tense to do that. We use the past perfect tense to do that. For example, the ground was wet. It had been raining all day. The ground was wet. It had been raining all day. So an event which finished just before another event, or to express the cause of some event, we use the past perfect tense. Finally, when it comes to the usage of the past perfect tense, we use the past perfect tense in reported speech. We use the past perfect tense in reported speech. For example, they said it had been raining. They said it had been raining. So the direct speech is going to be, they said it was raining. They said it was raining. So in changing this direct speech into a reported speech, it becomes, they said it had been raining. They said it had been raining. So these are some of the uses or the usage of the past perfect continuous tense. These are some of the usage of the past perfect continuous tense. Let's look at the formation of the past perfect continuous tense. How do we form the past perfect continuous tense? Now, in forming the past perfect continuous tense, we need two key elements. We need two key elements. We need the past form of the verb have, the verb to have, and then the participle of the verb to be, which is been. So for the positive, we have subject plus had plus been plus the verb ending ing. So for us to form the positive form of the past perfect continuous tense, we need the subject, the past form of the verb had, been, and then the verb ending ing. For example, they had been playing tennis. They had been playing tennis. This is a positive sentence, and this is a positive form of the past perfect continuous. They had been playing tennis. Now, to form the negative, we just introduce not into the positive to give us the negative. We introduce not into the positive to give us the negative. So the negative becomes subject plus had not or hadn't plus been plus the verb ending ing. Subject plus had not or hadn't plus been plus the verb ending ing. For example, they hadn't been playing tennis, or they had not been playing tennis. That is the negative. And finally, to form the questions, we use the auxiliary had plus the subject plus been plus the verb ending ing. Had plus subject plus been plus the verb ending ing. So for example, had they been playing tennis? Had they been playing tennis? So had plus the subject they plus been plus the verb ing, which is playing, and then the other complement tennis. This brings us to the end of another wonderful episode of Grammar Live with me, Alexander. Thank you so much for making the time to join in. And as always, continue practicing. And remember that with grammar, you speak better. Till then, have a wonderful week and see you next time.